Welcome to EdMedia. In this video, I will be ranking each of the Tpot episodes as of Tpot 9. So this list will start from number 9 all the way to number 1. Remember that this ranking is based on my opinion. If I have your favorite episode way down, do not attack me because this is based on my opinion. So let's get started. At number 9, we have Tpot 6. The only thing I like about this episode is the nostalgia I have about the 2023 meetup. Seeing the leaks and all that, and especially the fake leaks, were fun to see. That is really the only good thing about this episode. Let's go over why this is my least favorite episode. There are numerous reasons why I hate this episode. Let's start with the challenge. This is the worst challenge in the season. It is stupid and so dull. The challenge is literally to make to dinner. What kind of challenge is that? How unoriginal can you be to make that the challenge? Making to dinner is the worst challenge in the season. Another reason why I hate this episode is because of the lack of storyline. To give context, many arcs had happened already. We had the winner and clock arc. We also had the Are You OK arc setting up a rivalry between Pen and Golf Ball. We had the Robot Flower storyline with TV from the previous episode. They could have set up a new arc this episode. They did not do any of that. There were no arcs present, no storyline progression. There was nothing. The point of Tpot was to make lots of arcs, but this episode had none of that. This episode was just filler. Nothing interesting happened. No arc and storyline progression along with a verbal challenge made this episode have a negative taste for me. Also, 2 characters who were supposed to be in an arc were eliminated, and they didn't even give suspense in the elimination even though there was a voting battle. So At number 8, we have Tpot 4. Of all the episodes, this one I rewatch the least. This is the only Tpot episode that I would say is boring. It drags even though like more than half of the teams only have one scene. With most teams only having one even. How did this episode go on for half an hour? I can barely remember what happened this episode because most of the episode is just the teams standing and just saying how they can't believe they are in the biome that they are in. This episode is just boring. The challenge is not that good. It is just to protect a plant. The only good part was that this is when the Puffball arc peaked. This episode is what started making Puffball sabotage teams. She was really good this episode. Other than that, the episode is just boring. Number 7, we have Tpot 3. Tpot 3 is a pretty forgettable episode. The episode is decent but not as good as the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes set the tone of how the season would be, and it seemed like a pretty great start, but this episode kind of threw all that away. This episode also started the series of episodes that I like to call the Tpot mid-era. This episode is what started the era of episodes where the episodes were not living up to the expectations that we got from the first 2 episodes. But like I was saying, this episode is alright. It had the winner and clock argument, which was really good, and we got to see a new side to battle. This also started the 2 teams up for elimination style. So decent episode. At number 6, we have Tpot 5. This episode I would say is good. Of all the Tpot mid-era episodes, I would say this is the best one. First off, the challenge was actually good. I like the underwater theme. This is also the episode where the arc with Puffball peaked because Fries and Puffball started sabotaging teams. This episode also technically started the Robot Flower arc. Robot Flower making the team lose is what I considered the spark that started the Robot Flower arc. Every team was pretty good this episode. The problem is the pacing for me. It kind of went by too fast. We also could have had more. Winner and clock stuff was planned but for some reason was left out. and the tone was goofier than most episodes. I know BFDI is known for being goofy, but a trend that has happened recently is that the writers think random stuff happening is funny. But overall, pretty good episode, just not as good as the next ones. Number 5, Tpot. This episode has an actual challenge, which is pretty rare for Tpot episodes. Instead of the challenge being a problem that two needs to fix, he made an actual challenge, which is to stay on the balance beam. This episode is like a sequel to Tpot 7. It continues the arcs that were set up. We see more of Fanny and Black Hole conflict. The Robot Flower arc also gets a conflict with Basketball and Bell. We also see more of how Winner is dealing with Clock's elimination, and he clearly does not want to forgive him. Golf Ball and Puffball continue to sabotage while also setting up an arc for Tennis Ball. Yeah, this episode was great. The only thing that is keeping it lower is that it is shorter than all the episodes. I like Tpot episodes long, and this one was just too short. But still, great episode. At number 4, we have Tpot 1. I would like to say that this was a great start. Honestly, this was the best season premiere. The team picking scene was great, and we got to see how the teams work. The challenge was pretty basic, but it was still entertaining to see how the teams would function. Everyone got a line. This episode is also where characters like Basketball showed their development. Yeah, this was a great start to the season. Not much to say, the episode was great. Great start, challenge could have been better. Number 3 is Tpot 2. This is the longest episode of the season, and for a while, my favorite episode of the season. Like Tpot 1, the challenge was basic, but they managed to make stacking blocks not boring. Many people argue that the length of the episode makes this episode boring, but I absolutely disagree. Like Tpot 1, we continue to see how these teams function. Almost every team was great. This is one of the few episodes where teammates gets screen time. Shocker, right? This episode seemed like it was setting up some arcs too. We had the pin cheating thing. Many people hate this pin, but I did not have a problem with it. The strongest team on Earth was also great this episode. We see Eggy leading the team, and towards the end, almost half the team gets in a big argument. I wish the strongest team on Earth acted like this more. We should have seen this team be a bit dysfunctional a bit more. Death Pact again was also good. They did not have a storyline, but they were really entertaining. Then the other three teams did not get as much attention, but that is okay. Yeah, this episode was filled with character dynamics, and it was just entertaining overall. At number 2, we have Tpot 7. After 4 consecutive episodes that were mid, this episode is what made the purpose of the season become more apparent. Almost every team got an arc started. After my favorite character Lightning got eliminated, he convinced Fanny to rebel against the team. This is a really great storyline for the team. We also have Robot Flower now behaving like the Season 1 Flower. This is a great storyline. We now see ways Robot Flower can be used. Golf Ball and Puffball now sabotage teams together and become a great duo. They work well together with Golf Ball's smarts and gadgets with Puffball's schemes and flying ability. Also, the Winner and Clock arc continues after Clock gets eliminated. We see a new side to Winner. We see them get angry. This made me start loving Winner. And the other teams were also great too. This episode was the redemption for Tpot. This episode made people realize the potential of this season. The great arcs these teams can have. Amazing episode. And at number 1, we have Tpot 9. This episode was absolutely peak. The thing that saves this episode is definitely the challenge. We have never had a challenge like this in BFDI. The zombie apocalypse was so great to see. While this episode did not continue many arcs, we only saw a brief scene with Basketball trying to convince Belle that they need to change Robot Flower, but that is the only thing in terms of arcs. Why I have this as my favorite episode despite having no arcs when Tpot 6 had no arcs, and that made it my least favorite episode is because instead of arcs we get dynamics. We see how the teams work together to survive the apocalypse. We love seeing arcs, but we also love seeing characters interact. The dynamics these teams had was so good. The teams working together to survive and finding ways to survive was great. So yeah, the character interactions was great, but the thing that makes this my favorite episode is the challenge. Like I said, we have never seen something like this happen in BFDI. The tone also helps make this seem like a serious threat. Also, Teardrop got eliminated this episode, so the people who complained about Teardrop having writer bias were proven wrong this episode. Anyways, yeah, the plot of the episode makes this my favorite episode of Tpot. With all said, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me rank these episodes. Leave your opinion in the comments below. Check out my other Tpot videos and subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching.